Okay, my friends, this should blow your mind. That is a giant iron meteorite. Well, yes, it is. Everybody knows that. I think it's called a Willamette. And it's, I believe it's the biggest one in the world. And it's iron, and it was a lung. Yes, 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 it was. Now, you see down here, we're going to be looking at my own iron lung right here. And it is iron, and it is long, and it came through space just like that did. And I have other things here that I will show you that came through space. And this is it in the microscope. We're going to be looking at it in the microscope. And I also have other lungs here. I have a ton of stuff here. Now, let me turn the lights on. I had the lights low. I wasn't trying to get romantic with you or anything. Here we go. Lights back on. Boom. All right, here it is. Now, this is the same as that. That's a lung. This is a lung. There's still some red in there, not much. We're going to show deep inside here, and then I'm going to show you deep inside the iron lung, which is up there. Now, the iron lung is down here, and we're going to be looking at it from the microscope, and then we're going to be looking at this one from the microscope. Then we're going to be looking at this. This, Becky Doria sent me this. You can see what this is. This is what they call selenite, and you can see right through there. But you see these things here? Those are mineral inclusions, and those are the things. This is a transition zone, right? This is tendon, and it was in some kind of chemistry, and I haven't figured out the chemistry. I really haven't looked at it good, but something causes the tendon to become almost like glassified looking. However, there are minerals in the transition zones that don't bleed off the way the tendon material does. Tendon is like a calcium carbonate and a bunch of other minerals, and I don't know what this ends up being. I really haven't looked at the chemistry, but whatever it is, doesn't matter. This is biology. I could show it, and you could show it way deep inside the rock. You see way down inside there? Where do you see it under a microscope? This stuff blows my mind. I love it. And we're going to see this one. This is just another lung too. You see that? And this is magnetic. You see, you got a magnet here. Yeah. That one there came through space, just like the other one. All right. So now, but obviously, here's a problem. Well, not a problem. It's just a difference in intensity of the interaction with the atmosphere. This one didn't burn up quite like that did. Now, I have other meteorites here. I have this one. I have this little tiny one. Believe it or not, that's a meteorite. And that is a fingertip. And I'm going to show you, wait till you see what's inside this fingertip. And that could be DNA tested. And the reason I know it's a meteorite is because of the way it burns off and burns off the skin. That's literally skin. And we'll see this in a microscope. I have another one over here. Hold on. Here it is. Oh, no, that's not it. Here it is. All right, and I have this one here too we're going to be looking at. And this one here is a giant fingertip, and it exploded its blood right out of here. Now, I showed this the other day. I have a terrestrial one, identical to this, but not blistered and burnt off the way this is. And what this blood exploded out of here, that didn't leak out of there. That's an explosion. Boom! Coming through the atmosphere. Shh. Pow! And it blew off. Because I have another one. Hold on, let me see if I can find it. Give me a minute. I'm sorry, my friends, I do not see it. I don't see it. Interesting. Oh, here it is. Here it is. I got it. Here it is. Now, this was, as I said, identical to this. Hold on, let me back this out. There we go. Now, you see that? They're the same, exactly identical. You see that little hook there? And that little hook there? You see that? You see the blood supply here and blood supply here? These are veins. They clamp off. Well, the other side, the artery doesn't. Now, this is a terrestrial one that just leaked out. It didn't explode, but the blood leaked out of the same places here. This one exploded coming through because blood boils. This just leaked out. Now, we're going to look at this in the microscope. Well, I've looked at it a million times. Well, I will look at it again. But you can see it's identical. Identical. Absolutely no question whatsoever. They're both giant fingertips. Now, what the hell are these things doing in space? Only thing I can tell you is they talk about being battles in the heavens. And these are giants. There's no question. I got them DNA certified, so there's no question what I'm saying is true. Have somebody come and look at them. These are meteorites. They're meteorites and they're body parts. And there's Comet 67P, 100%, no question whatsoever, is a tendon entasis. It still has a chunk of meat on it, and it has the tendon fibers. It's giving off gases that are identical to the gases given off by a gas grill in low oxygen environment. It is, I mean, there's no question whatsoever what it is. I've been watching it since they put the Philae lander up on there. European Space Agency sent it up, I think it was 2014, 2015, up in that area. And when they actually landed on there, they took the samples, they took all the pictures. It's just stunning. What's more stunning is that nobody cares about the reality of this. And they just keep walking around in circles pretending that they're looking for something. And it's in their face, and they refuse to look at it. And I have tried to contact literally everyone. Literally everyone. So all the space agencies, and, you know, I'm just blocked, I guess. Nobody ever responds. They have a dogma. They have a way, and the problem is, and it's true, they can't speak because if they do, they get fired. That's the problem. It's the peer review process that says, hey, don't you come up here with that stuff, pal. We can destroy your life, and they do, and they are vicious. I'm telling you, and academics, even though you know what this is, and now there is no question, absolutely no question, they are just exactly like flat earth people that say, the earth is flat, I don't care if you can show me the honest truth, that you go up and look down and see it, it's not flat, it's round. But it doesn't matter to them. Same thing with the academics. It doesn't matter what the truth is. No question whatsoever. You cannot present them with truth. They will not allow it. And that is what, you know, I've had this happen to me with both sides, flat earthers and so on. This is the blood vessel down in here. They can find blood in here. And if they drill into these holes, they'll actually be able to find out what kind of a creature that was. I'm sorry, that's just a fact. Now, I was going to stay away from all this DNA and all that business, because it little scares me a little bit, to be honest with you. But at this point, I'm not sure. I think everything is supposed to be revealed. That's where I'm going. I think everything is supposed to be revealed. And whatever isn't revealed, well, what's unknown is unknown. But what is known should be revealed. And it shouldn't be hidden. It shouldn't be disallowed. All right, that's my approach. I say if you know it's true, or if you at least suspect there's enough evidence to investigate it, you should investigate it. And it's not been allowed. 8 years. And I'm talking about Yale, Harvard, every top university, everyone, 100%. And I tried them all. I'm telling you, I tried them all. So don't tell me, oh, it's just one here or there. No, absolutely. And I even took a course on genomics down at Johns Hopkins, and my professor just dismissed everything I said. In 8 minutes, I presented him with all my evidence, DNA and CAT scans and specimens and everything. And in 8 minutes, I got a reply. This is all just ridiculous, and that was it. I was done. And that's that's the problem. These people have already decided, and nothing is allowed that doesn't fit into their fantasy, really. It's fantasy at this point. Absolute fantasy. Now, let's start looking into the microscope shots. And this is the killer that really kills them, because in space is filled with biology,
and benevolent bird, and the possessor of all knowledge.
That's
Sex
an artery.
Is Latin for stone. To
That's
the
a
northeast
vein.
lies the largest boulder on Bennu. Measuring over 300 feet in length, Rock Saxum is a colossus longer than a football field. It is also rich in a type of iron oxide.
Magnetite. Magnetite is Fe3O4. Blood is Fe2O2 and Fe2O3. That is blood. And in certain circumstances, it turns into, magnetite, which you just saw. And all of the gases and all of that stuff is exactly identical to what biology is. And this is Comet 67P. That was Bennu. This is Comet 67P. That's another chunk of meat. Those are tendons. That is a bundle of muscle. Ask any anatomist that's ever done an autopsy that understands what the anatomy of tendons is, and muscle, and the anchor ball. And all of this dust is the red, bloody plasma, pretty much red blood cells mostly, that have just eroded off of here. And it's like dust. That's from Comet 67P, from the Philae lander, from the European Space Agency, back in 2015. I followed that thing inside and out, watched everything about it. All right, it's time to make some changes in the way we address reality. You see that? I think that's in Bulgaria, but I'm not certain. You see these tracks right here? This was some kind of a bulldozer looking thing, and it sunk into this. That was this exact same stuff. This is the same stuff as this right here. All right, and this is the tendon that was here. This didn't, the bloody stuff didn't run out. This was in chemistry that somehow invaded and replaced the bloody tissue with this selenite. Now, let me show you another couple places where this is. And I'll show you what they did with these vehicles that they used here. And this goes back to the Inca times. You see that? That's the identical, same vehicle, same tracks, same vehicle. And this is down in Bolivia. Fuerte de Sempiata, Bolivia. Now, you can see blood and so forth. And then what is this? These are cuts. Well, what's going on? This was a excavator. And what did they excavate, Roger? Well, let's see if we can find out. Maybe we can figure it out. Okay, here we go again. Exactly the same machine. And here is the same stuff. And there's the same stuff right here. And this is being cut out. And what did they do with that? They moved that bloody tendon down here to make walls with it. It was still wet. You could see, no question, it was sinking in. It was cutting those slabs. Somehow they transported them down here. I have no idea how they did that. And then they just popped them together. Now, this is a bloody section from right here. This is eroded, and that is a bloody, I believe that was where a bone was. This is like the tendon in the fleshy area, and that turns pretty hard, as you can see. They like this one up here. You see that one? What a mess that is. That one there is just about ready to fall apart. You see it? And this is red and black blood. And the same thing here. This is a blood, red. Look, that's red blood. Now, and these bumps on these walls that they say they can't figure out why they have the bumps, those are actually where the tendon's locked in and the strap comes off. And we show these all the time. Well, I'll show you right now. All right, these are the tendon walls. and it looks to me like this was a test wall, because they just scraped it clean. This one here, they left the bumps sticking out. This one, and that is the fabric of life. It actually has that fabric on the tissue that surrounds this. It's a very structural, and it does this because it's always moving. And then they scraped it looking here, and whatever they did here, I don't know, and then they did whatever that is. Now, but this looks like a test wall. I can see no reason other than that for this particular structure. Now, what is this? You see that right there? Let me home in on that so you can see that a little better. Zip. You see right in the center, and a little jobber sticking out? These are the bumps. They have no idea why they're here. Well, they're there because there were straps running from there over to tendon balls. That's why. All right, again, they're gigantic creatures. I cannot account for this. Well, I got some ideas, but nothing I can really sink my teeth into yet. However, this is these tendon mats, and those are the walls. They cut them, like say up here. They snap these little jobbers off here, and that's the bumps that are sticking out. That's what it is. Now, that strap would have run up to a ball that would have been anchored in the skin, or in, because these are interstitial balls. And in this particular case, I believe this is like a tendon locked into a muscle that can move like this way. So it's not really interstitial balls. Interstitial is a little different. It's a huge web of balls and fibers, and we'll talk about that later. This is a little different. This is structural, you know, on your legs and, you know, all of that stuff, where you have to have very good structure, but it still has to be able to move and give. And that's what it does through these little Chinese finger traps, they call them. Okay, so that was just a little side thing, but I mean, that's just phenomenal what some people are capable of. Now, the ancient texts, though, did talk about what their capabilities should be in quantitative statements. You should be able to do this in such an amount of time and hold this many arrows and kill this many people and and then you qualify as being, you know, such and such a rank. Absolutely stunning what the past really was. Now, here's Tyson, and this is the site he's at. And now, I want to make one statement before we get in here. There's a GoFundMe page now to try to get him a drone. You see what this is? That is a tendon ball. That's one of those little straps that we talked about before. And this is interstitial. This isn't even those big, long straps. This is the ones that are inside the skin. Now, he did this video, and the funny thing was, we were talking, and we talked basically daily, and I was mentioning that they had talked about these things as called concretions. See what is it? Interstitial biology and not geological concretions. Because I had a thing with Scott Walter. He's just wrong about the things he's saying, and he dismissed my evidence as being wrong, and I want to confront him, and I don't think he's going to want to confront because he's just wrong. So, but anyway, we were talking about that earlier. And I had been putting a video up about it. I had already done it, and I was putting it up, and we were talking, and he had already done this video. And the same thing, we're talking about these concretions. So listen to this.
Well, thank you for joining me today. I'm going to jump right into this, and I'm going to be talking about interstitium, which is what...
All right, this is this interstitium. Now, these are the balls. You see these little pockets, these little holes? These are the fluid-filled bags, they call them. And now they look at it, and they call that taphany or something like that. But this is interstitial. You should go up and see this. It's Tyson's Mudfossil Adventures, and it's on YouTube. Real good guy. Knows what he's doing. He's got
biological inside our body. See all these balls laying right here? There's a whole cluster of these round balls laying here. These are interstitium. Geologists would call them concretions, which that is not what they are. They actually become loose and they fall out and they roll around, and this is what they are. You can see them right here. It's obvious.
Right, once they fall out, you see them, and then they end up calling this stuff taphany. Now, I'm not going to take his thunder. You should go up and see his stuff. Tyson's Mudfossil Adventures. Now, the GoFundMe page up, I'm going to put a link to it. If you can help him out, because he's right on the edge of the ocean. Here's the problem with where Tyson is. It's dangerous as hell. This stuff is slippery. He's on the top of the edges of mountains and on these cliffs and stuff, and it scares the heck out of me. Now, The other issue is these high winds. They're coming right up these cliffs. I mean, the size of these cliffs is just absolutely, I'm telling you, I've had breathless moments. I'm not lying to you. Now, when that wind comes up, though, he needs some kind of a drone that's not going to get destroyed because of the winds and get, you know, you need something, I guess, with a little power. So it's not cheap. So we're going to need a little bit of support, you know, and if you can help, that would be fine. If you can't, everybody's in tough shape. We all understand. But anyway, let me get back to this. What he's looking at here is interstition. I discovered this. Because science didn't know about the interstition. Because whenever they look at autopsies, everything was flat because all of the fluids drain out. Well, my stuff is all just like it was, like this is the head of a goose. Now, my stuff preserved in the fluids, so it never flattened out like flat as a pancake. Some did. I have other ones that flattened out flat because they got wet and soaked and everything, and apparently the water drained off quick enough where they flattened down. Like, this is a fingertip. That's a giant fingertip. And that's flat. Now, not normally that probably would have been about this high. Not flattened out. So there's some of them do, some of them don't. I have one over here, DNA certified, from a giant. DNA certified. 100%, no question. DNA, CAT scan, no question whatsoever. Giant human being. And it didn't flatten out. You see it? It's just like your fingerprint, your finger. Right? That's where the tendons lock in. I've shown this a million times. That's the apical tuft right there. We have the biggest apical tuft of any creature on the face of the planet. This is the guy here, Scott Walter. I have nothing against him. It's just that he should step up as a man and do what he should do and say, let's take a look at it. Now things have changed. I destroyed your research, yes, but, you know, what can you do? At some point you got to step up and say, let's take a look, and maybe I made a mistake. I could live with that. But to hide out and to be talking about giants and everything else and all of these different things and ancient this and that, and it's, you know, we need to look at it in more than one light, and he will not allow that. He's not been engaged. And I told him, I sent him an email. I said, Scott, if you don't step up and do something, I'm going to expose you for this. And I'm going to show that everything you're saying is wrong, because he doesn't understand the biology of geology. All right? Nobody does. So it's not just him, but for him to dismiss my evidence. The other people, the other academics, I think they know they're wrong, and they're just afraid to talk. He thinks he's right, apparently, and he talks and says, yeah, you're wrong on TV, over 5 years ago. And then what happened was I decided, well, I'm going to just go ahead and get this done the right way. Then no, he won't help. So we went to Yale, and they dismissed it, refused to look at it. And I said, well, what would you do? And they said, well, of course, you'd have to have a CAT scan, this and that. I said, okay, where do you get a CAT scan? Well, we use the University of Texas. So I said, okay, we're going to do exactly the way you do it. I used the University of Texas. They wanted, and they didn't want to do it. And they really were nasty. And I think it was $1,500 to do the CAT scan. I don't even know if I don't know whatever happened after that, because when they did the CAT scan, Jim Burchell and Arlie Caudle actually took the head down there to Texas. They had a CAT scan, and when the CAT scans were absolutely worthless, and I called to ask one question, and they refused to discuss, wouldn't answer the phone, absolutely refused to talk to me. And I went insane, literally, and I emailed I slaughtered them with emails. And then they thought I was threatening and this and that. The police called and the lawyers. And they said, don't ever contact them again. And this goes back 5, 6 years ago. And it was right after he, on TV said, oh no, that's nothing, that's just a sandstone's head. And then they said, well, even your own guy says sandstone head. This is not a sandstone head, absolutely not. And I said, if anybody will look at it, nobody would, absolutely refused. And it's to this day, everything. And all I have CAT scans and DNA and specimens and giants and chemistry and I have all kind of experts too, but they will not engage because it overthrows the dogma and makes them really look foolish at this point. If they had engaged early on this and said, nobody ever expected this is very unbelievable, but we're going to look into it, and then they said, oh, we have, now people would engage. They'd want to go to school. They'd want to learn. Right now it's just like A is an A, B is a B, and 1 and 7 equals 8. All right, say what I say, do what I do, and then and bring an apple to me too, and I will give you a passing grade. But if you try to interrupt me and ask me why these giants existed, I'm going to destroy you. I will ruin your life. I'm not kidding you. That is exactly what will happen. Now, remember this, my friend. The object of life is not to be on the side of the majority, but to escape finding oneself in the ranks of the insane. The insane are people that can accept what is obviously not true, and they go about their life being perfectly happy, deluded. Wow, you could use those initials. All right, here's where you want to go. Tyson's Mudfossil Adventures. I'm telling you, he's got the site. We've been working this for over a year or more, and he goes out regularly, and he's finding things that absolutely blow me away every day. Now, here's the taphany, and there's the tendon balls, and this is the thing I think I showed you a minute ago. I get lost in my presentation. Look, there's 56 ups and 0 downs. Now, the guy's good. He knows what he's doing. You can't miss with Tyson. Now, he's some of the things obviously we're trying to figure out ourselves, and sometimes I may not even agree exactly with what he says, but we do know it's biology, and we are trying to work out this and that. And primarily, I don't think we've ever really argued about anything that I can remember. We come to a conclusion as far as I can recall on everything. And but this is the interstitium. Now, I discovered this. That was me, discovered it. Yes, I'm bragging. I don't care. I've been bragging about it for a couple of years now. All right, you just got to go up to Tyson's site and see this. Now, that's one of the interstitium balls, and he put his hand in his hand is about this big. That is the strap that comes down. This is what they call the fluid-filled spaces that allow this tissue to flex and move, and the balls are locked in, in positions, and then everything goes this way and that way. And these, boy, I'll tell you, I'm falling over here. Hold on one second, my microscope is going to drop. Here we go. Now, there's the strap, there's the taphany, which now they call it taphany. This is a layer of tissue that separated this from whatever this layer was. Now, whatever these layers are, I don't know. But I can tell you this. Interstitium, this stuff, coats every organ. It's under every bit of your skin. It surrounds every bit of tissue in your body, and it separates it from other tissue, and it allows that tissue to flex and move in this fabric and still come back to where it's supposed to be after you do your little flex and the move run. That's what's happening now. And you can see, I mean, it's just unbelievable that it's been so missed. Now, these are eroded and falling out. The straps are very weak. And I've shown this, and he shows it too. You got to come up here and see it. But this is the interstitium. Now, let me show you, and I'll show you let me show you. See, here it is right here, interstitium. New organ discovered in the human body after it was previously missed by scientists. I found this in around 2012, and I researched it with Gil Hadley, and they just starting to talk about it. This was 2018. They identified a new human organ hiding in plain sight in a discovery they hope could help them understand the spread of cancer. Well, here it is right here. Those are fluid-filled bags that are called taphany now. These are the balls, and the straps erode away from the balls. The balls remain. The taphany holes are all over the place. And then those balls, when these erode, this erodes easily. The balls don't erode easily. You can see they stay as a ball. And they call them concretions. Absolute nonsense. And a concretion just means something all glued together. Concretion. And there are things that do that, obviously. Obviously. And I think Tyson told me that he was going to go into another video about concretions. Because, you know, well, I don't want to steal his thunder, but they bring that up. Oh, no, these are concretions. Well, let me just make that one statement. And he's going to go into it and show. I'm sure Tyson is very, very, very good at what he does. So I'm sure he will illuminate it much more than I am doing now. But when you have a concretion, it's just a bunch of stuff that's glued together literally by bonding, by the molecules gluing together. Now, what's inside of them? There might be clams and shells and everything else in it, because most of the time it's in some kind of fluid environment in a muddy solution, and all that stuff collects together, and that freaking stuff glues together. What do you expect? Obviously. I mean, this is just absolute nonsense. And then they say these things are concretions, which are the tendon balls. Let me show you some concretions. They say, oh yeah, they're just absolutely concretions, just absolutely popped out of the ground. What do you see this? It's absolute nonsense. And you know, I'm telling you, I'm going against Scott Walter, because he's the one that really pretty much destroyed my research by going on TV and saying this sandstone head. I'll show you that too, because that was a tragedy. And he should step up and say, I'm sorry. Maybe I was wrong. Let's look at it. That's all I'm asking for. I'm not having to come and say, oh, I'm sorry. I just want him to say, let's take another look at it. And I'm still willing to work with him. But I got to be honest with you. I'm a little hostile. I get over things. I'm not hard to work with if I'm treated fairly. And I have not been treated fairly. And I'm still not being treated fairly. And I sent him an email about 10 days ago. And I said, I'm going to go on and I'm going to show that you're just not right in the things you're saying. And I'm going to make it show that you're just not a man stepping up to do your manly thing, is to confront me. All right, you went on and said my research is all wrong, and then walked away. All right, just because you got the speaker doesn't mean, the voice, microphone doesn't mean that you're right. And that's what you decided. I'm right and you're wrong, and I'm going to walk away. Well, these are not concretions, Mr. Walter. These are tendon balls. These are those little anchors that are in the interstitium, which I discovered because I did the research. All right? I understand these extremely well. I understand everything I see here, 100%. And you understand nothing of what you see, sir. Now, if you will engage, I will engage. Now, I have other things to do right at the moment, but please contact me. We can work this out together. And, you know, if you'll stand up, I'll stand up with you. Or anybody. I don't care who it is. But somebody should stand up. But I can't get it. You know, I've been crushed and put in a box that is so far off of the mainstream that I can't get out of that box. And I never will. It's just the way I am. I've been excluded from everything. And this is what happens, especially when you don't start from within the system. I would have been destroyed if I was in the system too. Like Velikowski, like all the other researchers that are in the system, they step up, they get destroyed, case closed for them. And they're out, and then they have to go get a job somewhere else, so they have to start to blend in somehow. Now, the only one that stood up and kept standing up is Mary Schweitzer. And I tried to work with her too, 8, 9, 10 years ago. Let me show you what happened to her. Because they still crushed her. Even she was in the system. As a PhD, we even went on 60 Minutes, showed everything, no question about what she had, and they still destroyed her. So you can't step up and keep your job. I didn't have the job, I don't care. All right, this is Mary Schweitzer. She discovered, this goes back to 2006. It was 14 years ago. She discovered that there was soft tissue, fresh-looking tissue inside T-Rex femur. They had to cut a bone because it was too big to get out of there. They had pieces left over. They gave them to her. She looked into it, and she found that there was still soft tissues. And so, holy smokes. Now, evolutionists and creationists went head-to-head. And that's when the whole thing hit the fan. And it says right here, when this shy paleontologist found soft, fresh-looking tissue inside a T-Rex femur, she erased a line between past and present. Then all hell broke loose. She's still in trouble. Let me show you. No, here's Science Magazine. Here she is, Mary Schweitzer. What does it say? I don't care what they say about me. Paleontologist stares down critics in her hunt for dinosaur proteins. She's just looking for some dinosaur stuff. I've got giant humans, dragons, all this stuff. So I'm so far off of the mark that she's still in trouble. She's a PhD. She's no idiot. This is 11 years after her discovery of this soft tissue, and going on 60 Minutes and everything else. Everybody realizes she's right, but they just destroyed her for this. I don't know how they crushed her so easily, but they did. The whole thing, they all ganged up against her, and they've been searching under the high summer sun without success. I could find DNA everywhere, anywhere you want. I got it coming out of my ears, and they don't know where the blood vessels are and so forth. They just really, the evidence which she had laid out in the papers, other journals, challenges traditional notion of what a fossil is, a stone replica of the original bone. If that stone includes proteins from the living animal, I don't know what the definition is anymore, she says. So, and it does. It could contain, here, let me show you what a living animal squirts out. I had blood gushing out of that. That one right there. These are the lobes of the lung. You see that? Any anatomist that has vision will understand that. I mean, it's the same. That's it. The same. Now, what happens is the lungs separate. I don't know. Their blood ran down there, and that turned to like quartz, and that's what happens to them because they're in the water. Now, you see how they're separated along these fascia and pleura? Same thing here. And this is the pleura. And Scott Walters, oh, well, that's some special this and some special that. He's on TV talking about that. It's absolute nonsense. It's a lung, and that is DNA certified. Not just some, oh, must be this, must be that. And this is the blood, and we took out of around the side, we cracked it open and took a spot out of it. But here's the way the blood is coming out of this other one. It ran all over my bench. I'm not kidding you. It ran out of that one over there. This was like 10 years ago or whatever, a long time ago. I did this not, and look at here, let me show you some scabs. Well, let me tell you, let's just show you this real quick. This I made myself. That's that's a chicken tissue. And that was made using the Mudfossil process. I did that. That's my own Mudfossil I made. What's this? That's regular Mudfossil, but that's in vein blood and tissue. This is fascia. This is another thing Scott Walter has no clue about. Oh, look at that! Look at this! Look at that! This must have came from Israel. All right. This is the fascia end of the lung, and then we cut into there, and that's what the tab is at the bottom of the lungs. They have these red flaps. That one there, I mean, just gushed blood out of there. And that's a vein, and that's the vein valve. They have a valve in them that shuts off. I'm almost sure of that. This stuff needs to be looked at. You see that too? I think it's a vein. I'm not positive. But, a lot of this stuff could be looked at. You see all the little, I think these are all little blood cells in there. You see it? And that's clearly a wall of something in this tube. Now, the only thing that I don't understand is this right here. This could be a tendon ball that we're looking at that's anchored in here. I don't know. I really don't. I have no idea. And, however, well, I'd have to see what the anatomy of a vein valve is, because that is clearly to me blood cells. And I don't think you're going to see them like that inside of a tendon ball. Tendon balls are extremely structural. I think this is literally the valve, and it flaps open like lips. And really, they're like lips. And if you try to go backwards, it goes that way. If it lets the blood go this way, comes. If it tries to go back, it clamps off. You see it? Swoosh, boom, swoosh, boom. So the blood would have probably been coming this way. Can't go back. I'm going with vein valve. I'm telling you, I do this all day, every day. I just can't help myself. I think I got an issue. Anyway, that's blood coming out of a rock. I mean, obviously it's a scab. Now, what is it coming from? It's red blood, we can see that. That means it's not vein blood. Now, underneath, you see this whitish looking thing? That is clotting fabric. It's called fibrin. Yeah, I believe it's called fibrin. I believe that's it, yeah. And this is what they call bone forum, and a cavity where blood vessels go in. Now, when this died and the veins got ripped out or whatever, here's what happens. All right. I removed the scab, and here's this clotting fiber. Now, underneath this is the holes that one of them feeds and one of them comes back. So you have your artery and your vein. They're almost always close together. And here they are. Now, you see that? That's the vein. And this is the artery. See the artery side is the red side over here? And this is where that blood vessel scab was or whatever. See? That's where the cavity was. So, you need to spend some time looking at this stuff, which I do. Don't forget, Roger Spurt, discoverer of interstitium.